The Pathfinder Way, a 46-mile circular walk in Cambridgeshire and the Fens from 2009 to 2020. The Pathfinder Way is a 46-mile circular walk through the charming Cambridgeshire and Fenland countryside, designed to perpetuate the memory of the famous RAF Pathfinder force from World War II, and taking in 4 of the 19 historic Pathfinder stations at RAF Witton, RAF Gravely, RAF Oakington and RAF Warboys. The Pathfinder force incorporated 19 target marking squadrons in RAF Bomber Command during World War II, based at 10 different stations in East Anglia. The Pathfinders located and marked targets with flares to help improve the accuracy of a main bomber force. An annual endurance walk and run, the Pathfinder March, is also held, where competitors have 20 hours to complete the course. Despite walking the trail during the winter, which involved wading across flooded fields, wallowing in gallons of mud, and bracing myself against rain and icy winds, I loved every step of this lovely little walk, which features many charming highlights, even for the Cambridgeshire flatlands. I walked the trail, mainly in a clockwise direction, starting and ending in Dry Drayton, in connection with other local walks over a 10-year period between 2009 and 2020. However, the Pathfinder March is run anti-clockwise, starting and finishing at RAF Witton. My photos are a bit limited in scope because I walked most of this trail during the winter months, when the weather was not always at its best. This has been a very rewarding local walk for me, taking me out into the fens and helping to introduce me to an area which I had previously written off as being flat and boring and not worth the effort. I have now discovered that the fens are anything but boring. Despite having walked the length and breadth of our amazing beautiful country, I have now developed a deep love for the hidden lanes, charming villages, mysterious waterways, wide open spaces and big skies that are characteristic of the fens. Formerly a vast area of natural marshland, the fens were drained several centuries ago to produce some of the most fertile agricultural land in the country. Most of this land lies just a few metres above sea level and is protected from flooding by an extensive system of dikes, pumps and drains, which are man-made rivers. It is believed that the fens have been settled since at least the Bronze Age, possibly even well before, giving rise to a wealth of fascinating history and cultural traditions. There are even stories about highly elusive and mythical creatures such as the fen tiger and black shuck. The fens were inhospitable to outsiders, partly due to the very nature of the inaccessible terrain, and partly because malaria, more commonly referred to as marsh ague, was rife. This was traditionally treated by the use of opium. Today, numerous conservation areas support an abundance of plant life, waterfowl and insects. One of the muddiest paths I have ever had to negotiate. This was just after the trail leaves Dry Drayton, heading west across the fields towards Childerley Hall. The trail between Childerley Hall and Knapwell. Houghton Mill on the River Ouse. There has been a mill on this site for over 1,000 years. The present-day mill, which dates back to the 18th century, is now in the hands of the National Trust. Houghton Mill. Broughton, one of the most charming villages on the trail. Pathfinder-themed stained glass window in Warboys Church. Somersham. Bluntisham. The River Ouse at Browns Hill Lock between Bluntisham and Swavesey, with Bluntisham Church in the background. Lessons learnt. The fens are not boring. Be prepared to get muddy and allow a lot of extra time for washing and cleaning gear after each walk. When walking the Pathfinder Trail during the winter, you practically have to skate around much of the course due to the slippery nature of the mud encountered along much of the route. My groin muscles have never been so active, and I spent a considerable amount of time on my backside. However, I did notice that the mud on the northern half of the trail is not quite as slippery as that on the southern half.